Hi everyone, I'm Nate Sheets with Organ Behavior Consultation, and in this, our third video of our cognitive support series, we'll be talking further about proactive conversations and how to make an effective proactive plan with the person that we're supporting. Using proactive conversations is a major part of the cognitive support process. Making a proactive plan can be beneficial for several reasons. First, it lets the person that we're supporting know that we're on their side and that we value their input. Secondly, it helps us to remember that we're focusing on a skill and not a character or personality flaw in the person that we're supporting. Third, it lets us focus on practical steps toward a solution, for example, A, B, C, rather than other traditional ways of looking at behavior. For example, just try harder. You want to remember to provide cognitive support during this conversation. For more information on doing this, see video number 2 in this series. Now, let's talk about the process of a proactive plan. The first thing you're going to want to remember is that proactive conversations are not going to work in the moment of escalation. We must have this conversation when the person is in a good space and open to having it. When anyone gets escalated, we lose our cognitive skills and many of us become oppositional. So again, trying to problem solve in the moment of escalation is probably not going to work with anyone. Follow these steps in order to have an effective, proactive conversation. Step 1, identify the problem. By identifying the problem with the person, you can ensure that you're both on the same page, and potentially find out some good information. I once facilitated a conversation with a family who were trying to problem solve extreme language that the son was using toward his parents. The parents identified the problem as the inappropriate language, but the son identified the problem as his parents nagging him. This meant that we needed to take two approaches. Problem solve how the son could better react to his parents, but also have the parents assess their own behavior or what their son considered to be nagging. Sometimes during this part of the conversation, several different issues might come up. It's very difficult for most of us to work on several things at once, and if we have a developmental disability on top of that, things can quickly get overwhelming. To help with this, we can make a list of all of the issues and allow the person that we're supporting to choose what they want to work on. Once we agree on an issue that we can work on, we can move forward. Step 2, try their solution first. There's rarely a proactive conversation that I have with a client where my brain is not already generating ideas. Firstly, I'm trying to figure out which cognitive skill is clashing to create the behavior, and I'm also brainstorming ways to solve the problem. However, it's very important that if the person that we're supporting has an idea on how to move forward, we hear them out and, if possible, use that idea. This means trying the person's idea even if we don't think it will work. Problem-solving behaviors is difficult, even for those of us who do it for a living. This means that we're going to be trying a lot of things that won't work, and that's okay. By trying the ideas of the person that we're supporting first, we're showing them that we value their input. The results of their plan may surprise us. By being in control of certain situations, behaviors may naturally go down. Even if the plan doesn't work, by observing this, we can get more information about why the behavior is happening. Step 3, agree to support and a prompt. With developmental disabilities, simply having a conversation about how to change behavior does not work. Really, it rarely works for those of us with typical cognitive skills. If you have a conversation with someone about their behavior and you expect them to implement a change, you're making many assumptions about their brain and their skill set. These assumptions are discussed more in video 2 of the series, and as you'll see, they're not safe assumptions to make. There are several things that we can do to help enhance the effectiveness of a plan. Here are some ideas. First, you can consider writing the plan down. Writing the plan down means that everyone can agree to it in a clearer way. Expectations are clearly laid out, and we can use that plan as a tool in follow-up conversations to visually show where we might have gotten off track. Writing down the plan using either pictures or words adds an extra layer of processing for both caregivers and the person that we're supporting. If the person we're supporting is taking control of the plan, writing it down can help to ensure that we're following their expectations and not accidentally go off course. You can also consider creating visuals. Having a visual reminder of expectations can be a non-intrusive way of prompting the person's brain and our brain to follow the plan. Don't use words if the person struggles with reading, and don't use childish clip art if the person would think it's immature or condescending. I have clients where we put pictures of a brain in various rooms to help them and caregivers remember it's a brain thing. Another thing you can do to help increase the chances of the plan being put into actions is to go over expectations and remind everyone of the plan. Before a potential situation, going over expectations and the plan may be helpful for all of us. This will keep the fact that we need to be following the plan fresh in everyone's mind, rather than assuming that we're going to remember it in the moment. You will also likely need a prompt to support the person in the moment. Being able to be aware of what is happening and to change your behavior in the moment is very difficult. If we're able to prompt the person's brain, they will be much more likely to be successful in following the plan. Prompts will be much more successful if you practice the plan, which I'll talk about in a second. I generally recommend that prompts be non-verbal. This is for several reasons. Firstly, many clients, especially those with fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, struggle with verbal communication when things are going well. In the moment of escalation, defenses set in and oppositional behavior is much more likely to occur. Having a visual prompt can remove the verbal factor from the situation. You can use something like a picture that when you flip it over, it reveals the same picture but in a different shade of color. Or maybe you can use a hand signal to discreetly prompt the person when you're out in the community. Even us saying, "I need to take some space right now," can prompt the person that they should also be taking space. I'll provide more detail and ideas about prompts in a future video. The fourth step is practicing the plan. One of the most helpful things you can do to increase the chances of a proactive plan working is to practice it. I can't stress this enough, and yet it's one of my most frequent suggestions that people don't end up doing. Why is practicing important? Because it helps everyone. Practicing helps us to know what to say or do when the moment comes. It's hard for all of us to regulate ourselves in the moment of an escalation, and having something scripted will take a huge load off of our brain. Practicing helps us to do what we need to do physically. If we agree to step out of the room while the person we're supporting is using some kind of coping skill, we can practice where we're going to go and what we're going to say and use our own coping skills. Additionally, if the person wants to be able to take space in their room if they get frustrated, we can practice going out of the room, and that may help increase the chances of it happening in the moment. And for some clients, practicing can be fun. We can positively reinforce the person for practicing with us, which can help make them feel better about the plan. I once had a client who continually ran away from his foster home when he was upset. The foster providers were required to follow him, and he often led them several blocks away before calming down. We were concerned because he didn't have any street safety skills, and in that moment of escalation, any skills he had were down. While all this was happening, he would keep yelling at his caregivers to leave him alone. Using the proactive conversation model, we made an agreement that it was okay for him to leave the house in order to calm down, but that he would stay on the block and he would need to be okay with a caregiver following him as far away as they possibly could. We did drills twice per day for a week and then once a week after that. And the very first time the client became escalated and left the house, he followed the plan exactly. When he returned, he received positive reinforcement for following the plan and using leaving the house not as a behavior, but as an actual coping skill. There are some situations where we may not be able to practice. For example, if the person that we're supporting feels like practicing is silly or immature, perhaps they're a teenager, they may not be willing. We can try to get them to participate by giving them an incentive, but don't power struggle over it. Step 5, follow up and change the plan. We don't expect everything to be fixed after one conversation. Sometimes the plan is unrealistic in stopping the behavior, but we do it anyway to show the person that we're willing to try their ideas. It could be that when we implement the plan, there are factors that no one had anticipated that got in the way of it working. And it's possible that the person was still unable or unwilling to follow through on the plan in the moment. You're going to want to wait until the person is in a good place to have a conversation, just like before. Ask them how they think things went and if they have any ideas on how to make it better. Again, you're going to want to use their ideas to change the plan if they have any. It's possible that nothing needs to be changed and you just need to try the plan exactly how it was again. I hope this video was helpful in laying out the essential steps of getting a proactive plan in place. It can seem like a lot at first, but I promise you, the more you do this, the better you're going to get. This series on cognitive support is released every Wednesday. You can subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button below, and you can like Organ Behavior Consultation's Facebook page at the link below. Thanks for watching.